Alex Estridge, who we'll see later in Q2. Sonta van den Gorberg confirmed with that RW Itrafoglia team for next season. He's in this Q1 session, more than his full-time teammate in 2025 in a moment. Yuki Kuni for the Mitsubishi Team Asia, his final Moto2 team this weekend. Jeremy Tututa, who continues to replace the injured Joe Roberts. Eric Fernandez in at MSI. And Hector Garzo wildcarding this weekend for an NTS chassis RW. He had a fracture worn in practice today. But this Moto2 season, which we have absolutely loved from start to finish, could it yet, Neil, have one final twist? If it's going to come, then surely this session will give us the key to this title battle.
Yeah, I must admit, I came into this weekend thinking Diogo Moreira lifting the championship trophy tomorrow afternoon would be a mere formality. But after what happened yesterday, when he took a little bit of a misturn with his setup in Taltrans box and didn't get into the top 14 at the end of play in practice, I started to reevaluate things somewhat. And this will be such an interesting session. It's not often that we're looking at this Q1 Moto2 qualifying session thinking this is going to be one of the most important of the weekend, but that is most certainly the case here. So as we were saying this morning, Lewis, it is by no means a given Diogo Moreira comes through this session, considering the amount of talent in it as well.
For Diogo Moreira to be crowned champion this weekend, his task sounds very simple. He's got to finish 14th or higher if Manu Gonzalez wins the race. And it's fair to say there hasn't been an absolute mountain of evidence so far this weekend to suggest that Manu Gonzalez is going to do that. But of course, he could be inspired if Moreira fails to clear this hurdle in qualifying one. Manu Gonzalez doesn't win the race. Diogo Moreira is champion wherever he finishes, or even if he doesn't finish tomorrow's 22-lap Valencia Grand Prix. For Manu Gonzalez, it is very simple. He needs to win tomorrow. With Diogo Moreira 15th or lower. If he wins and Moreira is 15th, they would finish the season level on 282 points. But Manu Gonzalez would take the tiebreaker because he would have 5 wins to Diogo Moreira's 4.
Yeah, to be honest, from what we've seen in the free practice sessions, FP1 yesterday morning and then FP2 earlier today, it does look as though Diogo is actually in a pretty decent position when it comes to the race. He is there or thereabouts. He might not be the fastest rider, but he's certainly in contention for podium positions. Just never know when it comes down to a last race finale here in Valencia. We've seen the best riders in years gone by affected by a serious bout of nerves on the Sunday. Diogo Moreira has been Mr. Cool and Mr. Composed in the last couple of weeks. He's been the one been amassing points, while Gonzalez has looked a bit like a rabbit in the headlights. Moreira has overturned a 60-point deficit and turned it in 24-point advantage. It's been an incredible 84-point swing in his direction over the last 9 races. She said, you never quite know, do you, when it's the last one finale? That's for sure. Even if he's qualified well, there will be some serious nerves going into tomorrow's Moto2 22-lap race.
There's always just that extra pressure of a title decider at the very last race, because of course you don't have the safety net if something goes wrong. If Moreira does fluff his lines this weekend and Manu Gonzalez is able to win the race, there'll be no form of riposte for Moreira. He would lose the World Championship. It's never happened before that a World Championship has changed hands, or the lead changed hands, with this bigger margin between first and second at the final round. So a record will be broken either way tomorrow. If Gonzalez is champion, it will be the biggest final round comeback in Grand Prix history. Moreira takes the title, it would be the biggest comeback full stop in a Moto2 World Championship, or indeed intermediate class history. The French Grand Prix, or the conclusion of it, Moreira was 61 points behind Manu Gonzalez. Perhaps even more impressively, he was 60 points back at the summer break after his back-to-back non-scores in Germany and Brno. No one has ever won an intermediate class World Championship from that big a points deficit at any stage of a season.
Yeah, 8 of the 9 last races that we've had, he's outscored Gonzalez. He was also absolutely adamant after his victory in Portugal 6 days ago that he would go on the attack this weekend. It would not be a different approach for him in Valencia. He feels that's the best way to approach this final Grand Prix, rather than be on the defensive and trying to manage the gap to Gonzalez up ahead. It's best to just go out, try and ride as normal. And he feels it's the way to discard nerves that are likely to come. So Moreira has positioned himself pretty well here as he starts his first flying lap of this Q1 session, just up behind Aaron Canet. Canet has been strangely off colour this weekend. We know that he's not been riding at his best in this second part of 2025, but I don't think coming to Valencia, his home track, and this where he's had some really good results in previous outings, on the podium here 2 years ago, on pole position here 2 years ago as well. Canet was down in 23rd in free practice 2 earlier, and not really showing any kind of competitive pace through that section. I can say it's a big surprise.
Which certainly puts Canet's chances of finishing third in the World Championship in some serious doubt. He trails his teammate Barry Baltus by 6 points. So with Aaron Canet in this session, our two most recent Valencia pole sitters are in this Q1 session. Aaron Canet in 2023, Alonso Lopez in 2022. Moreira then attacks turns 9 and 10 now, with the 44 of Canet up the road, giving him a reference. Although, as Neil mentioned, it's perhaps not the reference he might have thought he was in previous weekends. David Alonso then straight into the 132s, which is a pretty fast pace, it has to be said, at this early stage of qualifying. The best lap so far this weekend, a 1:32.372, which was set earlier on this morning by Dani Munoz.
Yeah, brilliant time from Dani Munoz. We'll be talking a bit more about him in Q2. He's going to likely be challenging for pole position. Rob Salach lowers the fastest time in this session. It looks as though Moreira got a little bit lit up on the exit of turn 14, but what can he do coming across the line? It's the fastest time for him. So everyone, I think, in the Italian spot can just breathe easy now for minutes and know that Diogo is very much in the zone.
It's his best lap time of the weekend so far. He did get into the 32s this morning in free practice 2. Said essentially that they took a wrong turn on setup yesterday afternoon when Moreira, going to see his little moment here coming out of the final corner. He gets up onto the curbs, drops the wrong side of it. The bike steps sideways ever so slightly. But essentially, for this morning's free practice 2 session, they reverted back to the setup that he's been running Portimao and before. It's been a pretty strong setup for Moreira, and it appears to have brought him right back onto his best form again.
We're on board with him coming around turn 14. I think he had just a little moment coming out of this bend. Curbs and a little bit unsettled, but nothing too dramatic there. Certainly didn't slow him down as he came across the finish line. As we see, a get well soon message there for the number 99 on the other side of the Italtrans box. That is Adrian Huertas, who suffered a really unfortunate injury yesterday right at the start of FP1. He's actually broken bones in both of his arms. So our best wishes to Adrian, who has not ended his rookie season in Moto2 in an ideal way.
So Yuma Sasaki, of course, who crashed at pretty much the same time, and he's injured his ankle, so we won't be seeing him this weekend either. Arenas, who was very quick this morning in free practice 2 as well, he goes into second place as Moreira improves still further. A 1:32.468, that is now just half a tenth slower than the fastest lap time in practice yesterday, a tenth off the all-time lap record. Can't say that he's absolutely safe though. Quarter of a second in the moment covers the top 4. Alonso Lopez half second back in 5th though, which is where Moreira needs to be. It's all about being in the top 4 in this session for the World Championship leader.
Yeah, and he showed 1 week ago, both in qualifying and in the race, that when the pressure is really on, he is someone that is very, very well equipped to deal with that. And he's proven that again here in qualifying in Valencia. Really good showing from Moreira so far. Just puts everyone at ease, doesn't it, in his inner circle. As David Alonso has lost significant time through split number 3. And Canet continuing to have his struggles here on home soil. So this time is fairly safe at the moment. Just looking back to what he was able to do this morning, Lewis, he did a 19-lap race simulation. And from what I could count, only one other rider had faster rhythm than Moreira, and that was Danny Holgado, who looked absolutely sensational. But Moreira, very, very, very consistent. And even on worn tyres, was still able to lap both 1:33s, which suggests that he's pretty well covered for tomorrow if he can progress through this session.
It's on course to do at the moment. It's weird, isn't it? Because if you'd ask right now, who's more likely to win the Grand Prix tomorrow, Moreira or Gonzalez? Maybe say Moreira at the moment. He's shown more evidence so far this weekend. He's got the speed to with the Grand Prix. How are they all feeling down there at Leopard? Advice to the team, and of course a World Championship winning team manager at MotoGP before. Livio Supo is in pit lane speaking well.
It certainly is, Livio. That's a really important lap for Diogo. First couple of times around, how's the general feeling in the team ahead of qualifying?
First of all, we're very sorry that Adri is not here with us. He's working remoting in the first lap, basically. And for Diogo, of course, it's a special weekend. It's the first time he's fighting for a title. I think he needs to do like he has done in the last part of the season. Don't think about the championship, just thinking about the race, enjoying last race in Moto2, because anyway he deserves to be in MotoGP next year. I'm very proud of that, because I think many people mid-season start thinking that he was going MotoGP only because of this flag. In reality, he's going there because he deserves it. So doesn't matter what will happen tomorrow, I'm happy for it.
What did he say after practice yesterday? Obviously finishing outside the top 14, a bit of added pressure, but he seems to be dealing with it pretty well so far.
You know, Moto2 is a very difficult class. The gaps are always very, very close. Yesterday, the day started for our team in the worst way possible with the big injuries of Adri, and so probably also, I mean, not consciously, but you know, to see your teammate out of the game after a few minutes in such important weekend probably has some influence, maybe. But anyway, the race is tomorrow. We know that it's still not done. So as I said before, think about the race, try to enjoy as it's done in the last few races, and have fun.
And just a quick word on Adrian. What's the latest on his two broken arms? How's he feeling? What's the spirits like?
He's in the hospital in Barcelona waiting for the surgery. The doctors need to wait the information to go to the rush anyway, because of course he will not be able to join us in the test of not this Monday, next one in Jerez, where we will test for the first time with Daniel Munoz. So it will be a long winter for him, but all the best. It's been a difficult season for Adrian. Sport to Moto2 is not easy, but
again, especially when you see the likes of Salat, Alonso Lopez going fairly quickly at the moment as well. Salat has been on a tricky run. This is his last race in Mark BDS colours. We were saying earlier, scored just 1 point in the last 4 races. The end of season run for the Czech rider before he moves across to the American racing team. And look at this for a response for Alonso Lopez. We've barely spoken about him all weekend.
Yeah, if this hadn't already, or if the Intel Trans team hadn't already decided to send Moreira, surely that red sack fan for Lopez must send them out to make sure that they're at least on the track in case this just continue to rubber in. The pace really ramps up in these closing stages. Salat goes into second within half a tenth. Alonso on a 32.6 takes third place, and Lopez now into third on a 132.551. So although Moreira is quickest, his gap to fifth place and elimination in this Q1 session is only 2 tenths.
That mirrors what we've seen across all 3 Grand Prix categories so far this weekend. So close are the gaps between each rider in the practice and qualifying sessions. Moreira just not thinking that the job is done just yet, especially as Alonso has set the fastest first sector on his latest lap. Lopez has had a pretty ropey run, but he has happy memories of this track in previous years. He was actually on the podium the last time we went Moto2 racing here in 2023.
Moreira is heading out, confirmed in our ears by Elliot. We can now see him on screens climbing aboard his Italtrans Calyx. 2.5 minutes just under to go, so you will have time to get round for one more flying lap. He will be having half an eye on the big screen as he goes around his outlap just to see what position he's in. Did not want to be told, did he, last weekend on the Sunday where Manu Gonzalez was. There he is already having a look to his left. Gets to see not only where he is, but also how much time he's got to play with on this outlap. At the moment, he's about to be deposed by Alberto Arenas, who could get himself from out of Q2 altogether to fastest overall. And potentially a new all-time lap record coming here for Alberto Arenas, who was very quick as mentioned in free practice 2 earlier on today. He's got a good selection here from Alonso, who's also going very quickly. Alonso then is bumped out of the top 4. He's now 5th because Arenas has set a 1:32.177. He smashes the lap record.
Brilliant stuff from Arenas, under the lap record by 0.2 of a second. And look at this from Aaron Canet. This is why Diogo Moreira cannot relax just yet, because the likes of Canet have still yet to show their teeth in this session. Let's see what the number 44 can do coming out of turn 14 as he guns towards the finish line. Canet is on course to jump into the top 4, at least. It's second from him, just behind Arenas, and one place ahead of Moreira.
Moreira then now 3rd. He is now saved by 83 thousandths of a second to Alonso Lopez. Van den Goorberg just went over the line to take 7th on a 32.6. He's 2/10 behind Moreira at the moment. He was still on his outlap with a minute of the session remaining, and pressure now on the shoulders of David Alonso. Surprising anyway to see him in qualifying 1, not helped of course by a crash at turn 2 in practice yesterday afternoon. As it stands, the 80 is starting 20th on the grid.
Didn't go back quite some time. The last time David Alonso failed to come through Q1 or automatically go into Q2, it was about 8 races ago that we last saw that from the number 80. And it doesn't really look as though it's going to happen for him on this particular lap, certainly not now after that moment coming through turn number 12.
He's rolled out a bit, so David Alonso, well, he's got 20 seconds to get himself to the line, so he's just, I mean, good luck finding himself some clear space on the track, slotting in there behind Yuki Kuni, and he will have one more shot at this. So Alonso recognising that lap wasn't going to come together, not helped by the rear coming round on him, coming through turn 12, and one more lap for Alonso to rescue his Saturday.
I don't think it's going to happen, if I'm being honest, Lewis. A lot of people saying this weekend that you've got 2 good laps with the new soft Pirelli rear to get the best lap time on the board, and if it doesn't come then, well, then it is curtains. So David Alonso may be well looking at the 20th place grid start, which would not be ideal as the checkered flag is out. The session does come to a close. See well, a near improvement for Mario Aggi, the number 64 there. 9th in this session, and Moreira looks as though he might get away with not needing to improve, if we're being honest here.
Isn't improving anyway at the moment, at least at the 3rd checkpoint. So Lopez, who's outside the top 4, has lost 3 seconds in the first sector, so he won't be climbing into the top 4. So any likely threats look to have subsided here for Moreira in this Q1 session. As he now makes his way towards the finish line, he does improve anyway. Stays in 3rd place, but he gets himself down to a 1:32.459, and it would appear crisis has been averted for the World Championship leader.
Very much job done for Diogo Moreira. Handled, you have to say, with the minimum of fuss. It is usual, cool and composed way. Similar way we dealt with any kind of dramas in Portugal just 6 days ago. And Alonso, as you can see, is not really making an impact on the times here. Which will be a great relief to Philip Salach after he aborts his last flying lap of this session on turn 12. Alonso comes across the line. It is going to be 20th on the grid for Moto3 World Champion.
Real shock for David Alonso. With a stunned expression there on the face of Nico Tirol. Sees Alonso qualify both 20th, first time since Brno. We've seen David Alonso that far down on the grid. VDS will at least have both of their riders represented in the final Q2 session of the season, which of course is the last session for both of their riders. With Mark VDS, Dixon has been looking pretty good, as we said, so far this weekend. Looks like will join him as well. Final Moto2 outing this weekend is 98th and final Moto2 appearance. 6 times, Neil, he has qualified second on the grid in Moto2. Never a pole, do you believe, in fate?
Yeah, never a pole in Moto3 either, which is quite remarkable for riders that won the World Championship in that category back in 2020. Still has a chance of doing it here in his farewell to this paddock for the time being. Reynolds, Kinnett, importantly, Diogo Moreira, Philip Salaj, who press through into Q2. Philip Salaj has had a few things to celebrate in the last couple of race weekends. You can see there that ES have got just nice little stickers inside their box to celebrate the achievements of their riders who are obviously going on to challenges new in 2026. Third place in Motegi last year. I think Philip's sole podium for Mark ES in his 2 seasons there.
So Alonso, his way back into pit lane. We'll not be seeing him in qualifying 2. Takes some effort to extend his run of podiums, 3 in the last 3 for the former Moto3 World Champion. And how fiercely difficult it is to overtake around this Ricardo Tormo circuit, and how close the field has been, in thousands between the field in this weekend so far. A real challenge for Alonso to climb up the order from there. Albert Arenas, though, who tops qualifying 1 with a new all-time lap record here in Valencia. Kinnett, who, I'd say, didn't look all that likely for much of Q1, but he does go through in second. Diogo Moreira, the World Championship leader, also through in third. Philip Salaj completing the quartet to advance to Q2. The 2 heavyweights that miss out, Alonso Lopez and David Alonso. Matt Goldberg 7th ahead of Navarro, Angie Fernandez, and Juritu Zakuni into Gaza. We remind you, no Yusaki, no Afghan Wettex, both ruled out with injury sustained in FP1. So it's Albert Arenas who tops qualifying 1, but the headline is the World Championship leader is through. Diogo Moreira will join Manu Gonzalez in the battle for pole position for this type of deciding round in Moto2. Q2's up next. Welcome back to Valencia, everybody. We are an hour away from the final sprint of the season in MotoGP. 13 laps ahead of us. Of course, 3rd place in the World Championship could potentially be decided. Marco Bezzecchi can score 3 points, or if Pecco Bagnaia fails to win the sprint. Bezzecchi can rent his tux and book his place at the MotoGP Awards here at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia tomorrow evening. Big issue still to be decided in the Premier class. The biggest issue still to be decided in Moto2. Who is going to be the world champion around this time tomorrow? Will it be the first ever Brazilian world champion in the form of Diogo Moreira? Or will Manu Gonzalez add the Moto2 World Championship to his World Supersport 300 Championship from 2019? This qualifying 2 session may well give us part of the answer. As you can see, bottom right of picture, Diogo Moreira has cleared the first hurdle. He is through from qualifying 1. He was 3rd of the 4 to advance in Q1. Danny Holgado, fastest in practice, although 2 riders have since beaten his practice lap time. He set new all-time lap records. Danny Munoz, who's 3rd on your screens, was quickest in FP2. Now Albert Arenas, quickest in Q1 with a brand new all-time lap record for 1:32.177. It's 75 on his Gresini farewell and Grand Prix farewell. There's an opportunity. Grand Prix start number 172 in all classes and number 98 in Moto2. Potentially play his first pole position. Lewis Sotheby and Neil Morrison with you then for this final Q2 session of the season. Diogo Moreira doing a lot of the hard work in knocking his place out of qualifying one. Must have been a few butterflies in the Ital Trans Camp ahead of that session. Oh, there must have been a few at Intact GP watching, and perhaps not outwardly, but quietly hoping that Moreira would slip up. He did not. And Gonzalez, a key session ahead of him, trying not only qualify on pole position, but he'll be hoping that Diogo Moreira is quite a long way back down on the grid. How are the nerves down at Intact GP? All title chasing Manu Gonzalez. Manager Jurgen Lings speaking now.
It certainly is. Jurgen, good to speak to you. Obviously a massive qualifying session coming up for Manu. How's he feeling ahead of qualifying? He knows what he's got to do. He's got to qualify well. So what's the feeling like in the box?
The feeling is quite good, I have to say. Everything is a bit released at the moment. We accept the situation and we know the situation we have. So I said, guys, we had a fantastic season. How they did was fantastic, and I can see also this in Manu's face. The smile is back and he enjoyed the riding, and so far he had good sessions, especially if you analyze the morning session was very good.
Yeah, like I say, the pressure is sort of now off Manu. He's got to go and win the race, and judging from the lap times, he's got a good chance of doing that. So what did he say after yesterday and the improvements that need to be made coming into qualifying and then on to the race tomorrow?
Yeah, it was quite positive. Yesterday he suffered a bit. He was complaining about the rear grip and some vibration, and this morning he said it was much better. So we try a bit more in this direction, because for sure we risked a bit and try, but he's very positive. And the problem here in Valencia is also in the qualifying, or in this tight course, in this tight track, we need a bit luck also. So I hope he can have a free lap and bring all the sectors together, that he can start from the front row, because here is super important. But as I said, it's not everything in our hands.
Is there any tactics going to be going on tomorrow if Manu gets a good qualifying position? I know he's got to focus on winning the race, that's all he's got to do, but is there something you guys have in mind to try and disrupt Moreira in any way, or is it just full focus on yourselves?
No, we are sportsmen. For sure, Senna will not disturb Manu, but this is quite normal. But we are sportsmen, this is not in our plan. We will try to win the race, but the problem is others has the same target.
Quickly on the other side of the box, Senna, how's he feeling this weekend? Obviously got that fantastic victory over in Australia, not been on the podium since, but I'm sure he's excited to try and end the season on a high and also try and help Manu in any way possible.
Yeah, of course, same for Senna. He did a long run this morning. Also the pace was really good, and he's very positive, and this kind of tracks he likes, where he do not need to stop the bike that hard. So I think even for him can be a very good race, and as we know him, especially the last third of the race will be interesting to see him.
Thank you, Jurgen, for your time, and best of luck for the weekend ahead.
Thank you so much. We need all the luck.
Thank you very much, Elliot, and thanks very much to Jurgen Ling as well for all his contributions through Moto2 in 2025. And I think that coach is just right to accept that no matter what happens this weekend, it has been a very positive year for that team and for Manu Gonzalez. And well, to pull off unlikely championship success, then that would be the cherry on top. Just before we get into this qualifying session, looking back at FP2 earlier today, we saw a lot of riders do very long runs. Just to give you a brief idea of how everyone is looking at tomorrow's race, there were 9 riders that were able to lap in the 1 minute 33 lows, and they were Andy Munoz, Manu Gonzalez, Jake Dixon. For 3 riders that were able to do 10 laps in that area, more or less. And it was Diogo Moreira, Alex Scridge, and Senna Agius. And there was one rider able to do 14 times in the low 1 minute 33s, Danny Holgado. So Holgado's rhythm this morning certainly indicated that he is the favourite. And we saw something pretty special from him yesterday afternoon as well, Lewis.
What are you all thinking, viewers? Did Neil just say Alex Scridge? Yes, we did. Scridge has looked superb so far this weekend on that forward chassis. Now, this is a team that, of course, previously ran under the guise of the Augusta, who have had a couple of pole positions here in Valencia. 2020 with Stefano Manzi, 2021 with Simone Corsi. Less said about what happened after he took that pole, but that actually didn't start in the end, that Grand Prix at all. But it's fair to say that the number 11, Estridge, who has been catching the eye in recent events, he's a genuine contender for the front two rows and even a podium battle tomorrow.
Absolutely. He has been there or thereabouts all weekend long. Been riding superbly well as a Scridge. Some decent form in the last two rounds as well. Inside the points in the last two. He's actually inside the top 10. That's a pound when he scored in 8th position. Starting to see the best of Alex Scridge. And as Lewis said, he has a real track record here as we go on board with Diogo Moreira, just following Danny Holgado. Once again, he's positioning himself superbly, knowing exactly who he needs to follow in this session to try and get a spot on the front row.
Very, very little to choose, as you can see, bottom of the screen between 27 and the 10. Holgado, who had a very similar experience to his teammate David Alonso yesterday for the second Friday in a row. They both crashed at exactly the same corner in practice. Holgado, though, had already secured a place in Q2. If you're watching Q1, you will have seen that David Alonso has not managed to do so. Across the line we go then. Surely we're going to see laps in the 31s by the time we're done here. As Munoz takes the early top spot, beaten by Salac, who of course we saw moments ago in qualifying one. A 1:32.318 for the Czech on board the Boscoscura.
Good stuff from Salac then, who carries that experience through from Q1. And Gonzalez is not doing anything on this particular lap time. You can see he's lost big amounts of time in sector number 3, but he's warming himself up. Another go here. He's got Ethan Guevara just up ahead of him, who has actually been pretty fast on occasion through this weekend. He had a bruising start the weekend, and Guevara goes to the provisional pole with 32.2. He crashed twice yesterday morning. He's managed to come back brilliantly from that, especially the second one, which was a really painful high side coming out of turn 4.
He's got some contusions to his left torso as he's fat, but he's flexing his muscles at the moment. He's on course as it stands for a first ever Moto2 pole position. So far this season, we haven't had the same unpredictability in qualifying that we've had in races. Of course, 17 different ones have been on a podium. Only 6 pole sitters though. Gonzalez and Moreira have 7 apiece. Holgado, who we're now looking at, has 3. Dixon 2, and the Batic pair, Aaron Canet and Barry Baltus, have 1 apiece.
This from Danny Holgado. We could see another new Moto2 lap record here. The circuit Ricardo Tomo. Holgado could be in the 1:31s here at this particular speed. See, Moreira just doesn't quite have enough to stay on his rear tyre. Holgado guns it out of the final turn and across the line. Is this a 31? It is not quite, but a 32.155 is enough for provisional pole as it stands.
Munoz and Estridge underlining why we've been talking so big about them so far this weekend. They go 4th and 5th. So at the moment it's Aspar Kalex from Pramac Blue Crew Boscoscuro, Mark VDS Boscoscuro on the front row. Munoz, Estridge and Baltus is currently your second row, but Baltus might be about to change that. Here comes the 7 up behind the 81 of Senna Regis. I saw Manny Gonzalez's lap time getting cancelled there for one reason or another, so he won't be improving again or missed that, bringing some pressure on himself. Baltus climbs up into 5th place then, between Munoz and Estridge. Dixon into 7th place. And at the moment, for Mark VDS, they have 2 riders in the top 7.
Performance this from VDS as we go on board with Jake Dixon. Thanks for the ride. Moto2 has been the model for that particular side of the Mark VDS box.
So Gonzalez's lap was cancelled. You might have seen it before it disappeared off screen for exceeding track limits. He did a 1:32.363. So had he stayed within track limits, I guess to move point to probably be slower, but that 32.363 would have put Manny Gonzalez provisionally in 4th place. Instead, he's currently last in this Q2 session, P18.
11th and 18th for the 2 championship contenders as it stands. Diogo Moreira would take that result, wouldn't he? That would pretty much seal the deal for Moreira, because there's no way that Manu Gonzalez would be able to win Paul's Grand Prix from the 6th row of the grid here at Valencia, especially with the likes of Danny Holgado starting from the 1st row. Holgado is going to strengthen his position on pole position here. I feel he does. It's down to a 32.075, another new lap record for the number 27.
It's on course at the moment for a 4th pole of 2025. Rookie of the year, of course, that was confirmed in Portimao a week ago. Manu Gonzalez do on this lap? In many respects, this is just all about getting lap time on the board. Of course, this is now 3rd lap on these tyres. Is he fueled up? May just still come up pit lane anyway. Let's follow Manu Gas through the final corner. We'll speak about his victory grab. He is coming in pit lane, and his Manu Gonzalez clearly only fueled for that lap. Hasn't won since Mugello. We also haven't seen him on pole position since Vitegi. Of course, it all got for him at the start of the Grand Prix. So Manu Gonzalez hasn't done an awful lot of leading in recent times. He'll be leading from P18 on the grid height.
Interesting that he decided to abandon that lap time. So on half a second off through split number 3. So I was thinking there's probably more to be gained from coming in, switching. Just add information of Manu. I think that is coming out of turn 4. Gonzalez exceeded track limits on the green, and it was pretty clear to see. We'll have to go again in run number 2. Tell that Jürgen Ling, the Intact GP box, have been really trying to lift his spirits and keep spirits high throughout this weekend, no matter what position he's come in after a practice session. There's been a big warm round of applause, and everyone trying to show their gratitude and respect for the season that he's put together. It's not going to ultimately be a successful one. Dixon will not, I feel, too pleased with 7th, considering his speed throughout this weekend so far, Lewis.
7th place at the moment for him. He's still in that battle for 3rd in the World Championship as Dixon, although it's a bit of a long shot for him at this stage. Trails Aaron Canet by 11 points and Barry Baltus by 17. Advantage Baltus as it stands at the moment, particularly with where they're starting. As it stands, Baltus currently sitting in 5th place, Dixon 7th, and Aaron Canet, despite coming through Q1 at the moment, only up in P13. A serious blow to the Valencians' hopes of securing a top 3 finish in the World Championship here in Valencia. Salash then into the heart of turn 2. At the moment, chasing a first front row start since Indonesia 2023. It's been a couple of years since you see the Czech on the front row of a Moto2 grid. He's also a Q1 graduate here this afternoon. At the moment, part of a front row of the grid, which is 2/3 Boscoscuro.
The weekend hasn't been without its dramas for Danny Holgado. Twice a follower-up at turn 2. Very similar crashes both times when he became very unsettled and heavy on the brakes. Seen such dramas for Danny so far this session. Cool and composed down in the box, solidified his 6th place in the championship this year. Brooks and I were talking yesterday afternoon about Danny being probably one of the revelations of this season, along with Barry Baltus. I don't think anyone can perform at this level so consistently in the second part of the year. And it's only that rider there, Diogo Moreira, that has scored more points than Holgado in the last 9 races since we resumed after the summer break.
Well, the word we've used an awful lot through this weekend and through the latter part of this Moto2 season is pressure. And that's what it comes down to now. Who can handle the pressure? Diogo Moreira might feel that a little bit of the pressure is released from his shoulders now, having come through qualifying 1. But for Manu Gonzalez, it is a win or bust weekend, and you feel it is a front row or bust session now, a front row or bust 5 minutes for Manu Gonzalez, who did not get a lap together at all on that first run of Q2. You've still got a hope, Manu, of winning this Moto2 World Championship. It's all going to hinge on the next 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Pressure on the number 18's shoulders. You can see him looking around there and thinking for just to confirm that he's got some clear track ahead. And Zeb Moreira once again sees fit to sit in behind Danny Holgado. It worked first time around to an extent. Looked as though he was continuing to have some traction issues on the exit of the final turn when he set his fastest lap time. So there's more to come, but he also runs the risk of riding behind the rider that doesn't necessarily need to push at 100% as things stand, because he is on provisional pole.
Brand new software tyre for Moreira, as we would expect. Munoz has done the same, and he's now out there looking to lift himself back onto the front row of the grid, and he does that too. A good final sector for Munoz. He now goes into 2nd place. That would be a maiden front row start in Moto2 as it stands for Munoz.
The impressive performance. Jake Dixon just gets his braking wrong, coming down into turn number 10 and 11. That's a shame for the Brit, who's a little bit frustrated, and he seems to be quite angry with Tony Arbolino, saying, yeah, stop hanging around behind me, go and do your own lap.
Tony Arbolino says, no, you're okay, I'll stay where I am. Actually, Jacob, it's all the same to you. 3 minutes remaining in this session. Arbolino is currently in 9th place, so he would start next to Dixon on the 3rd row of the grid, with Colin Vire in between them. of course, promo starter and podium finisher in Portimao a week ago.
Manu Gonzalez was just letting that group pass through before he went on to the start-finish straight. There's a couple of really fast names lapping this track at present. Guevara is one of them. Albert Arenas, who's come through Q1. Diogo Moreira has a little bobble through turn number 4 there. Another name is also Senna Aegis, who has 2 red sectors in 1 and 2. You can see Moreira getting all crossed up coming out of turn number 5.
Yeah, it's not helping Escridge, who's up behind him. Look at Aegis, his 3rd sector. We could be the 31 shortly with the Aussie. He and Arenas are going head-to-head at the moment. We remind you, Albert Arenas, in his final Grand Prix as a regular, 172nd Grand Prix start, yet to take a pole position. Is that all about to change? Moreira, of course, will not be improving on this lap. He's now back to 13th place, but here comes this fast pair. And as Arenas been able to pull out some advantage over Aegis in the final sector, he needs it. It's Aegis who takes it with a 1:31.886. Arenas did a 32.0, but that wasn't enough. Intact currently have a rider on pole, maybe not the one they wanted.
Done in time that from Senna Aegis, the first Moto2 rider ever in the 1:31s here at the circuit. Ricardo Tormo, brilliant stuff from him. Danny Holgado's about to respond. Idan Guevara responds. 31.8 now is the benchmark in this session.
Write a book about Ethan Guevara's weekend so far. What a roller coaster it's been for him. The roller coaster was last weekend. Holgado now takes it back with a 31.808. It is punch and counter punch in this qualifying session. Danny Holgado now by 65 1,000ths of a second. Ortola's making a start at this on the Foscascoro. So too is Manu Gonzalez, who's within a 10th of a second. This is all going to change around. Ortola first across the line. He goes 8th. Manu Gonzalez onto the second row in 5th.
Yeah, that's impressive stuff from Gonzalez. Maybe he lost just a little bit in that final sector up behind Marcos Ramirez. And look at this first sector coming in from Diogo Moreira. He needs to muster a response in these final 2 minutes of Moto2 qualifying this year, and he is doing just that.
Where do you look? Moto2 has been spectacular entertainment in 2025, and it is continuing into this final qualifying session of the season. And Diogo Moreira has made a little bit of a habit this season of just pulling a spectacular lap out of the bag just when he needs it. Wouldn't it be just like the World Championship leader to do it again here? Holgado's looking to put this beyond any reasonable doubt here on this final lap. Currently just 65,000 clear of Guevara. Holgado is now 3/4 of the way through a lap, which could see him extend his advantage.
It looks as though it's 5th at best for Manu Gonzalez. He's not able to improve on his final flying lap here, which could well be a blow if Moreira is able to improve in this final sector.
Moreira's going to be pretty close to him on the grid if he can hold this. It's estimating that it'll be somewhere around the fringes of the top 10. But if Moreira has a good final sector, he might get ahead of Gonzalez yet. Here comes Danny Holgado, who is cruising to pole position by the looks of it here, as he now goes across the line and extends his advantage with a 1:31.715. Moreira goes into 9th place. He is 4 places behind Manu Gonzalez, and Moreira still has one more shot at this. He's off anyway.
He's off, yeah, so that's it for Moreira. It's going to be 9th at best for the Brazilian. Let's see what Manu Gonzalez can do coming out of the final turn. Can he improve on 5th? Does not, so it's 5th at best for the other championship contender.
At the moment, there are no other personal best sector times on our screens. Gives us all a bit of a chance to catch our breath in this qualifying session, as Jake Dixon there giving a friendly goodbye wave to Manu Gonzalez as they close their qualifying session, said without a hint of irony.
Yeah, Dixon will be furious. He's 17th, and he's had a really strong weekend so far, but Dixon is not going to be able to challenge the podium places, surely. They're somewhere back in the 6th row.
Our battle for 3rd in the World Championship is going to take place in the midfield tomorrow. Canet 12th, Baltus 14th, and Dixon 17th in their battle to see who joins Moreira and Manu Gonzalez at the MotoGP Awards tomorrow afternoon. You'd say that's just about job done for Diogo Moreira. He's starting in the middle of the pack, which is going to lead to perhaps a nervous first couple of laps for the Brazilian tomorrow. Manu Gonzalez has at least out-qualified Moreira, which is the year, Danny Holgado.
Yeah, Holgado has been absolutely irresistible so far this weekend. I mentioned previously about his rhythm in FP2 this morning. It was absolutely incredible. And he showed that he had the 1 lap speed to boot and back that up. He had a An amazing qualifying performance from him back in Sepang when he was half a second clear off the rest. I think that almost is impressive.
He might do Diogo Moreira's job for him tomorrow, in fairness, in the battle for the World Championship, with Manu Gonzalez needing to win tomorrow to have any hope of overhauling that 24-point deficit. Say he's going to have to go some to beat Danny Holgado on the evidence of this weekend.
Yeah, he really is. But your intact GP boss, Jürgen Ling, probably going to be saying to Senna Aegis, just try and get the jump, get ahead of Holgado, and slow the pace down ever so slightly and let Manu Gonzalez potentially come into play. Manu Gonzalez can get to the front of the race tomorrow, and the pressure really is on Diogo Moreira, who will be starting mid-pack.
Have to give a shout out once again to Ipak Navarra, given that he's about as black and blue as his motorcycle is, in fairness, after his crashes earlier on in the weekend. To qualify second, a career best for him, is an outstanding effort. And we have to give a shout out once again. We're becoming a bit of a fan club here in the commentary box, but Alex Escridge on the second row of the grid for forward. He's also going to be in that podium battle tomorrow. What we've seen from him so far this weekend. Via seventh, ahead of Munoz and Moreira. You just heard from Manu Gonzalez. It's not bad, but it's not truly what he needed.
Yeah, he would have loved the spot on the front row, but still always not lost from fifth place. A little bit of disappointment there written on his face, but I guess he can take a little bit of heart from the fact that Moreira will be starting the inside of the third row. Let's be honest, it is not the ideal place to be at the start of a Moto2 race here, around such a tight start to the race. Up into turn two, there's always a bit of commotion, isn't there, in the three Grand Prix categories, and there's no question that Moreira will just be trying to keep his nose clean at that point. There might be hungrier riders around him trying to forward. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how he plays that first lap. It will be crucial to the outcome of his race for sure, how he plays it. Will it be a bit of a Pecco Bagnaia approach in 2023 when, 2022 when he wasn't willing to go all in when he was fighting with Fabio Quartararo?
Let's head down to Parc Fermé and get some reaction from the Aspar camp. Pole number 4 for Danny Holgado. Nico Tirol's with L.
Yeah, it certainly is, Nico. What a job from Danny once again to put it on pole. Rookie of the year and looking really strong again in Valencia.
Wow, super strong based about Danny. We are super happy. Finish like this the season. This is unbelievable because he rides super fast and we are super happy and ready for tomorrow. Enjoy tomorrow. Thank you.
Axel. Sets up so excitingly, isn't it? Tomorrow, Danny Holgado and Aspar have got no thoughts or concerns about the World Championship. He's first and 20th on the grid for tomorrow. But one of them looking to hammer home his advantage off the grid, and David Alonso looking to produce another Sunday comeback story tomorrow, as Paul Espargaro, who is very, very close, a bit of a mentor to Holgado, congratulates his charge. The 4th pole of the season. Tomorrow he will go in chase of a 3rd win of the season.
Yeah, Holgado had 3 pole positions in 3 years in Moto3. He's already exceeded that amount in his rookie Moto2 campaign. As we look at Diogo Moreira, debriefing with Caltran's crew. Yes, you said yesterday afternoon that he would have come through Q1 by 9th. He would have taken that, but going to be 1 or 2 butterflies in his stomach. He lines up on the 3rd row of the grid. Did look a little bit out of shape on many occasions throughout that practice session, didn't he, Lewis? There we see evidence of that at turn 3. We saw him lighten up the rear tire a couple of times coming through turn number 9. Out of the final corner as well. I don't think it was the cleanest session from the Brazilian. Understandable in the circumstances.
Yeah, he doesn't often show any sign of nerves, but there must be some Brazilian butterflies in his stomach this weekend. And what he's on the verge of achieving. No Brazilian motorcycle racer ever has been crowned a world champion. Could all change in less than 24 hours time. Make sure you're with us. You're not one of the 100,000 or so that have sold out this Ricardo Tormo circuit tomorrow for the final race of the season. And make sure you're watching from home. The Pipe side